Happy Thursday out there, Team 42. It's your skipper here, Darius Dale, to present our macro minute for Thursday, March 7th, 2024. As always, we'll start with the executive summary from today's leadoff morning note. If you would like the analysis supporting these conclusions, as well as what to specifically do about them in your portfolio, you need to be a client of 42 Macro. So we'll start with today's key macro event, which is a hawkish wage data pull forward at the end of NERP in Japan. Plus, both Powell and Jolt support the soft landing consensus, as well as the ECB does not rock the boat. So the nuance there is the Japanese yen is rallying a full percent today as market participants continue to price in the BOJ's exit from NERP this spring amid stronger wage data and hawkish forward guidance. Elsewhere, yesterday's January JOLTS report was marginally supportive of the soft landing scenario, in line with what the February ISM Services PMI report signaled on Tuesday. Elsewhere, Fed Chair Jerome Powell was far less hawkish than we anticipated in his commentary to House officials yesterday, highlighting the balanced risk of cutting rates too soon versus cutting them too late or not enough. He also downplayed the recent backup in inflation. And lastly, the ECB held its benchmark policy rates unchanged, in line with market expectations. So in terms of market implications, we continue to view the Bank of Japan's April 26th meeting as the most likely date for liftoff. I refer to our December 19th, January 19th, January 23rd, February 25th or 15th, and February 29th. Lead-off morning notes for our latest deep dive thoughts on Japan. Elsewhere, while the probability of a no landing scenario in the U.S. economy has increased in recent weeks, we currently do not expect it to overtake the soft landing scenario as the modal outcome among market participants for another 1 to 2 quarters. Elsewhere, ECB President Christine Lagarde's presser reads a bit dovish, enough to weigh on the euro-US dollar cross, but not dovish enough to pull forward the timing of the first cut from June to April. Refer to our December 14th and January 16th leadoff morning notes for our latest deep dive thoughts on Europe. Transitioning to our 42 macro dashboard here. We got some, I think we had an overbought signal in base metals here. Let me find that. Yes, sir. We did have an overbought signal here in base metal still. So this is something that it's just continuing to be overbought there. So we also have an oversold signal, day 2 of oversold signals here in the 10-year nominal treasury yield, 2-year nominal treasury yield, and 10-year TIPS yield. So that means bond prices, the notes are overbought. So be aware of that. And then as always, wrapping up with a question from our community. Just reads, thanks, Darius. So as a QB-starved fan of the Bears, I will eagerly await your take on the presumed number 1 overall pick. So for those of you who are not aware, my first passion in life, really my first hobby was scouting the NFL draft. I would go to the store, and I feel terrible about this now, but I would go to the store and I would put these magazine draft guides from like the Sporting News or whatever in the Sunday paper, and I would steal them via purchasing a Sunday paper because I couldn't afford the actual magazine, and so I would just read the magazines cover to cover and really watch it. And once I started watching them on TV, if I saw them on TV on Saturday or on Sunday, then I would be like, oh, that's that guy. Yeah, he looks pretty good. He does this well, does that well. So it's been something that's been part of me for really most of my life since I was an early adolescent, really back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And so I've developed a reputation, certainly amongst my friends, for being kind of a wizard when it comes to projecting talent in the NFL draft. And I actually published some of my thoughts, I want to say, on YouTube last year. So I'll try to do that again if I have time. So just in terms of my overall thoughts on this QB class, this is one of the best QB classes I've ever seen. Everyone was talking up the Trevor Lawrence class in 2021 as an elite QB class. We had 5 guys going the first round there, but I did not agree at the time that it was an elite class. The only guys I had really first round grades on at the time were Trevor Lawrence himself and Trey Lance, which obviously would turn out to be a bust and wrong, but didn't like Justin Fields, hated Zach Wilson at the time. And I know that's a lot. It sounds like revisionist history, but I'll send you the screenshots if you need to see them, the receipts. Hated Zach Wilson, and obviously Mac Jones does not have NFL quarterback talent. So that was, I think we were generally right on that. When I think about this draft, this quick QB class is special. There's 5 guys that I think are going to be above average NFL starters at worst, and 2 guys that I think could be in the MVP conversation in 2 to 3 years. And so in terms of my rankings, I got Jaden Daniels number 1 over Caleb Williams. I know that's a hot take, just based on my own eyes and what I see on film. I think Caleb Williams has some flaws that are hard to correct, and I think Jaden Daniels is a little bit more cleaner of a prospect and has a cleaner path to success than Caleb Williams does, even though Caleb Williams has technically more talent. But again, they're both elite prospects, and I expect both of them to be in the MVP conversation within a few years. So without question, those are two very, very high-end talents. And then in the second tier, I got J.J. McCarthy, number 3, Bo Nix, number 4, and my favorite Husky, one of my favorite Huskies of all time, is Michael Penix Jr. Obviously, I think people are really sleeping on Bo Nix's talent. And his ability to operate an NFL offense. They kind of, that Oregon system was rinking, dink and dime, screens all up and down the field. Pretty tragic for if you're trying to become an NFL QB, if you want the scouts to notice you. But when you kind of pop on the tape and look at his decision making, his ability to scan the field, get from read 1, read 2, get past traffic, get the ball up and over traffic in the middle of the field. Like, he's got all the kind of quality. He's basically like Brock Purdy on steroids. And so if you like what you see in Brock Purdy, who was very much squarely in the MVP discussion last year, you're going to love Bo Nix. I like J.J. McCarthy. I think J.J. McCarthy reminds me of like a Dak Prescott with more wheels. So imagine if Dak Prescott had the wheels that he had in college. That's kind of what I see when I see J.J. McCarthy. Michael Penix Jr. It's kind of a weird evaluation. There's not too many guys that look like him or throw like him. He's lefty. He's got a weird release, but this guy can sling it. I've seen him throw some balls that I've never seen human beings do before. That ball he threw when he split the safeties in the Texas game this year was insane. He did something like that. He was on the far right hash last year, not in 2023, but in 2022 against Oregon, far right hash. Laser to the other honey hole in cover 2. I'd never seen that pass completed before in my life. He's the only person I've ever seen complete that pass from the far right hash to a go route against cover 2 on the other hash or on the other sideline. I've never seen anybody complete that pass. That pass always gets tipped or intercepted because nobody has the arm strength to get it there, and he did. So that's kind of what I'm thinking on this. Drake May, he's the current consensus number 2 QB. Basically everyone thinks he's going to Washington. I think that guy could be out of the league in 4 or 5 years. I mean, he's got a ton of talent, but I just don't see it with him. I don't see NFL quarterback with him. I see really talented kid and thrower of the football and a fast, big athlete, but I don't see the processing, and I don't see the mechanics necessary to be great at that level. But I do see that from the 5 guys that I mentioned in tier 1 and tier 2. So we'll wrap it up there. Darius Dale presenting our macro minute for Thursday, March 7th, 2024. As always, we'll everyone have a wonderful day out there. We'll catch you back here tomorrow. And by the way, we got our macro scouting report coming out tomorrow. So for those of you who are not yet subscribers of that product, I highly recommend. It's definitely our best research, our flagship research piece every month is a deep dive presentation where I'm going through it in webcast format. Each of the slides is usually around 100, 125 slides. So if you care about macro and you care about staying on the right side of market risk, you're definitely going to make time to review that this weekend. So we'll wrap it up there. Everyone, catch you back here tomorrow. Cheers.